Hello, everyone. Mary Ann LeRay here at the filling station. Really excited to have another fabulous guest in the studio today.
Thank you.
We have Sheron Bender with us, and she comes with all types of roles here at the filling station. We'll dive more into that later.
Yeah.
But I'd love for our audience to get to know a little bit about you. A little bit about your family. You moved here to Pollocksville just a few years ago.
44.
But share just a little bit about you, and then we'll dive into the filling station.
Well, I'm always from North Carolina, and I've always lived in somewhat small of towns, but this is the smallest one I've ever lived in. But got married and moved here 44 years ago. I happened to be married to the man that's now the mayor. He was not when I married him, but you know what happens when you marry somebody. They get stronger. And anyway, behind every great man. Anyway, we have 2 children and 1 grandchild, another one on the way, and I'm a retired school counselor. Yeah, so I'm a school counselor in Craven County and for years, and now I work for Weight Watchers as a coach. Yeah,
good.
Part-time.
So, I know there are a whole lot of reasons about what brought you here to the filling station, but share, just going back a few years back.
Yeah. The first thing that really brought me, I was on our church was the beginning of, we had some startup money, and I was on one of the committees to help get this going. And it took a little while for that to go through the system and get set up. But when it did, I had been kind of in the development stages of it. But then for just a few months it started and I wasn't involved, and then Florence happened. And when Florence happened, we were very fortunate that our house was not flooded, and unlike many people in this area. So no power, no electricity, no nothing, but those of us who could came down here and worked long hours, giving out what we had and stocking what was coming in from all over the country, and that just lit a fire to be involved here.
What was possible?
Yeah, amazingly possible. Just miracles, really, every day.
Well, speaking of you being married to the mayor, we want to remind our audience that it was an invitation. We didn't see it as an invitation from Mayor Bender, but it was a call from him that asked us to step up. And he was dealing with other things that needed to be dealt with the town. And so handling the volunteer efforts and disaster relief was really a call from him. Yeah. And to think that we could have done that, we just shook our heads and thought, I'm not really sure how, but I'm sure we'll figure it out.
And at the time of his call, we literally had maybe 6 grocery carts full of food here in cans. That's about what we had to start with. And then the things from all over around New Bern and Raleigh and further out was showing up, but it was because the doors got opened.
Right.
That's why it started coming. They knew we were here.
Mm-hmm. So we opened August 2017. Now, you and I, we were on that task force from the church. And it took us about 3 years to actually wrap our heads around even opening the door, because there was a lot of resistance but we're now in our 9th year, and
it wasn't resistance that our church didn't want to feed people or help that way, but we had this little money that had been donated, and when people donate money for missions, you want to spend it the right way, and there was some concern about what if we try to do it and it fails and then we've just wasted that money. Yeah. And we kept saying, a group of us kept saying, but what if it doesn't fail? Right. And here we are 9 years later.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we didn't want to, you don't want to hold on too tight. Right. But you also want to make sure you have good sound plans. Yeah. And then you have God's plan.
And making an ongoing difference, not just a short-term difference, which is what our vision and goal is here.
Maybe the word reluctant. Maybe that was really a better word.
Scared to
step out.
To step out and maybe misuse this donated money that we had that we knew wouldn't last forever. You know, what's going to happen when it runs out? And look what's happened.
And we knew that we couldn't do it by ourselves. Our church, the vision was so big that we had to invite surrounding churches to partner to even make it work. And so now here we are, 9th year, and I was thinking about all the roles that you play here at the filling station. Well, one of the top roles is you have been a great encourager to me. You have met in me in my office at some times where I've really needed some encouragement. So first of all, thank you for being an encourager.
We've been right in that room clustered down a few times.
Yes, but there are other roles that are very important to you, and just share how you plug in. And
Yeah. If I was ever going to get a tattoo, it would say, I like to feed people. That has been an ongoing thing as a school counselor. Children can't learn if they're hungry. They can't think, they can't behave, they can't do anything if they're hungry. So I've always had that passion. So when the Florence happened and there were people really without, it just lured me in, and that was the first thing. But the very first thing I got really involved in the pantry, where the food gets donated, and we put it on the shelves and stock it and keep it rotated so that it goes out, and the things that we send out are healthy and good and in date and ready to be used. And that was I feel I'm interested in that. I'm an organizer. I love to organize. So that's what got me started in it. And then I really didn't have any intention of being on a board because I don't really like meetings a whole lot, like just sitting in meetings. But it felt right at the time to get on the board. And so I got on the board in 24, and now I'm the vice chair of that board. And what I love about it is this group of people don't just sit around. We cook things, we organize things, we laugh, we set up, we work, we move signs, we move tables, we do real things to get ready for what needs to be done here at the filling station. It's not just to sit around. We do have meetings, but it's not only that. So the pantry and the board, and the other thing that I'm really blessed, I serve on the board in New Bern for Backpack Blessings. And we partner with the filling station as an outlet. The food comes from the backpack people, but then we release it from this building because it's easier for people to get here
during the summer
and at the holidays. So
yes.
It's an outlet for summer food and all that for the school children in Jones County that sign up for that. And it's a blessing to be able to do it because the parents are very appreciative. We got a big list this year.
Wonderful.
Triple from last year.
And you've been very involved too in the back to school bash. Yes. We partner with Jones County Recreation, and
that's so much fun.
Part of that
packing
backpacks.
All those book bags with food and snacks and school things, and seeing the kids' faces when they come in to pick those up is so much fun.
But the detail behind it, because I know that you directly work with St. Paul's Church. They have been an incredible partner.
Amazing.
And so they reach out and they want us to make a list of
what do we need.
Yeah. So that we have the things.
Yes. The exact things
so
that we
there is
need.
A process, and you're overseeing what needs to.
Yeah. And Cynthia over in New Bern, reaches out and says, we're ready. And then they do it again in the holidays, at the holiday time. So they've been a really good support to that. We couldn't do it really without them.
Yeah.
So.
And then speaking of your board service, you started on the nomination training and orientation committee. So I really would love for you to share, how important it is as we're volunteering and then we're moving into committee work. And so when you're called up for board service, it's not that big a deal because you've already
been doing. Because I was on the nomination board as just a member, and the nomination board is really important, way more than I even realized. Yeah. But in an organization like this, you have to have a flow of people who are leading, and they don't just walk in the door and they're a leader. So they have to. It's nice for them to know what happens and know what they're doing and have a heart for that. And then if they express interest, we try to involve all of our partners. The churches all have an opportunity to be represented from their church, and so we have people in all areas of the county and even outside of our county who serve on different committees and boards to help keep us doing it. But the nomination committee helps make sure that the rotation is moving along, that we always have somebody to fill a spot, and that they are going to bring something to the board that we need that fits in a nice way. The other thing that I love that I do on that committee, and I've got one of these today, is an orientation, because sometimes people volunteer for organizations and they don't really know all about the organization. They just show up and do their job, and we just don't do that. We have them all come in and they sit down. It's about an hour and a half of the history of it, the whys, the hows, and all the things, and then a tour, and then background check, and they are, part of the team, and they're assigned, to whatever area they're interested in. And I always express to them that, if you want to be a volunteer, you get to say, these are the things I'm interested in. And then if you're called and, hey, can you do this? And you can't, it's okay. We have a lot of folks to reach out to. And so it's not like you're locked in if you don't want to be. It can be when I can, I'll be there. So it's a lot of fun.
We are really, we prioritize on having a large pool of volunteers ready to go and being ready for service, because you and I both know things happen with people's families and their personal lives, and we want to give breathing room. And so if the few are only doing everything, it really does can stifle the organization. So, having that open door. One of the other things, you're talking about background check, and we sat down with Jones County Schools because we were sending volunteers into the schools for our tutoring program. And we said, well, how about if we got the same background check system that you all have?
Close.
And so it's easy. And so I think, what I found that we've really done well is removing obstacles and making people feel confident in their roles.
And less to go through to get to do their roles. Less hoops to jump through and everything. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, the knowing why they're here and what they're doing is huge.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about rotation and how important rotation is. I think that's another thing. If you're not following the bylaws of the organization and making sure that people are serving their terms and then giving them some breathing space, coming off the board, coming back on the board to have that fresh perspective, that can also stifle growth. And how many times do we have these amazing people we don't want them to rotate off?
But then they do, and then it's still good.
It is. And then we get to meet these other amazing people.
Yeah. That's the thing also I've loved about the orientation is meeting the people that have heard something about us and want to know and want to be involved a little bit and stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Because, you have someone who's like Bobby Darden, who led us for several years and was such a great guy. And he's still with us. He's just not the chair anymore. He's still going to be on the board, still bringing his expertise and his history with us to the next group. It's really vital. Yeah.
I think you and I both, whenever we have conversations about volunteers and people coming in to do our tours, there's one thing that we hear from everybody, and that is, I had no idea.
Absolutely. I can't believe that all these things happen here.
I had no idea.
All these things happen here. And I said, they do. They don't all happen on the same day, but they all happen, and they happen, and different people are making them happen, which is pretty cool. And that's the thing, too. When they come in to volunteer, they get to say, this is my area of interest. I don't want to hand out food every Tuesday morning, but I would like to help at the camps or help with the Perfect 10 or the Bridge Run, various things like that. So so many different programs and ways to be involved too.
Well, I do, as we're wrapping up our conversation today, I cannot let this go until we mention the Bridge Run, because you and I were talking about what if we started a filling station 5K and, to raise money for the mission. And then we got the invitation to be a part of a 20-year historic event in New Bern. Right. The first organization that was asked to join outside of Craven County. And you and I talked about it and said, I think we can do it. So we've done this Bridge Run for 6 years. But you've been a critical piece.
It's been a lot. It's a lot bigger than we thought it was when we started.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot bigger. But what do you do specifically? I mean, you said you weren't good at raising money, but you figured out that you are
a little bit
because you're passionate.
Well, and I believe in the purpose of the bridge. I can sell stuff if I believe in it really hard. But so I started out just on the board, kind of backing you up a little as an extra person from the filling station. But then they Jen Bauer was really overwhelmed with doing marketing and volunteer. So that second year she trained, well, the first year partly, she trained me about how to do the volunteer thing, which that race has about 250 volunteers every year from all kinds of different areas that we get those. And so then I took it over, and then the secretary left. So then I became the secretary. So it's a busy time. It really is. It's very, all year, it's 10 months. 10 months of the year we are meeting and planning for that race, and fully expect to get another nice cut of that money this year for the back to school bash and for the filling station.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you so much overseeing the volunteers for that historic event. That event is unbelievable. In fact, we exceeded the number of runners ever in the history. And interestingly enough, didn't you love that when the registration cut off, there were 1776 runners?
I did really kind of like that. That was it seemed a little historic to me in more ways than one. But I will say it rained and poured that day, but it did not damper anything.
Not at all.
My volunteers showed up, the runners showed up, and it's what makes it work.
So that just goes to show you that heart overrides circumstances. And so why? I think you've already shared a little bit of it, but I want our listeners to hear about, why this is so important to you serving here.
Everybody doesn't grow up. Not everybody's fortunate enough to grow up in a family of parents who volunteer. Both of mine did. They were forever working in feeding people. My mom was big about that at the church and doing things through where they live. They don't live around here. But they were a model for that. They did all kinds of services. They painted people's homes that didn't have, all kinds of things. And I watched that growing up. And so my thing is, I know I've never been hungry. But I know I've seen people that are hungry, and I know I've worked in the schools for 33 years and saw kids who weren't fed in their stomachs, and they can't take in anything else if that's not true. So that was a mission for me as a school counselor. Did a lot of things to help get food and things for families that I knew needed it. And so this was a perfect transition. While we do many, many more things here besides feed people, those things wouldn't have merit if the people weren't fed. You can't educate and include and bolster people up. You can't do it if they're not physically taken care of. And so I have a heart for that, really do. And anything that comes up, that's why I'm on the backpack blessings and different things, because I just know that I see the value of that. And I know it's hard to believe that people truly are hungry in the world that we live in, even in our area. It seems hard to believe, but it's very true. And so it feels good to see this part of the aspect of the organization, as well as all the other things too.
Yeah. So. Well, we thank you so much for all the hours, because when you turn in your volunteer hours, we know that you probably do not document as many as you really serve, but we really do appreciate everything you do to pour into this organization. Thank you for all the roles that you play. And I know another passionate thing that's important to you is passing the baton. And so making sure that when the baton is passed, it's in a better place for someone to take it and run with it. No pun intended, right?
Well, as a board member, it is important to be tell the story out in the community. And I love telling the story of this place. I always say I feel very blessed to have this right in my town, serving the county, as well as this opportunity to serve and do this close to home and feel like I'm really making a difference. So it's a good blessing all the way around.
Well, thank you for joining us today. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the Back to School Bash. I know that many of you will be coming out. It is going to be Saturday. It is going to be Saturday, August the 8th at Jones County Civic Center. And so what you all need to know, too, is the funds that are raised through the Bridge Run is coming back into the county. So we're one of 5 organizations, and we receive a fifth of the funds raised coming back into the county. ordering the backpacks, filling them with goodies. And you're going to see Sheron and I there at the Back to School Bash. And
It's such a fun event.
yeah, it really is. And we love partnering with Jones County Recreation. It's like where one ends, another one picks up, and we couldn't do it without our great partnership. So thank you for joining us for our episode. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Filling Station 1075, and never miss an episode. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks.